Hello, princes, princesses, and court viziers. Welcome back to a whole new pod. I am your host, fully vaccinated Lucas Melby.
And I'm your court jester, Jacob Telejohn.
The cum boy himself, Jacob Telejohn.
Wow.
Want to explain yourself?
Well, I hope you guys...
I guess, hopefully you listen, as you should always do, through the whole episode, specifically the previous episode, where I always put a little stinger, some kind of fun Easter egg at the end of the episode. And this one had ours truly not a YouTube video this time. This was Jacob.
I don't even want to spoil it. You just have to go back and listen to it. Our last episode...
Pixel
perfect. Yes. And if this is like a new thing to you, there's fun tidbits at the end of every episode. Well, you got to go back and listen to them all. You're missing out.
But they aren't all Jacob talking about ejaculate.
No, but they're all related in some way or another to the episode in a way, shape, or form. So
that was one of the few joys. Maybe I shouldn't say few joys. That was one of the joys that comes from editing these episodes. Is that. Well, for myself, I've picked up on some of the things that I do when speaking that I find annoying listening to and try to avoid, trying to cut down on mouth noises, the likes, you knows, some of which I'm able to edit around decently. Jacob has some of his own host of issues, one of which is repeating words in fast succession, as I imagine you're kind of thinking to what your next thought would be. So then that's how you get she comes. And that once you go back and listen, that entire first portion, I think it roughly goes, she comes. Well, she comes. That was all completely unedited. Excised from the episode, though, so in the part where it came from, you're just left with Jacob saying, she comes, and then says something else normally. If you think we all sound maybe well put together in how we're speaking, just know that if this was raw, it would be a lot worse. Which I guess probably there's a reason why, while we have a YouTube channel for this, we never put up actual video recordings of us talking about them. Partially because I try to make it a little more difficult for people to see what we look like, because we don't want them to be disappointed. But also that we wouldn't be able to edit. I guess YouTubers do jump cuts and stuff.
Well,
but
you could always upload the video raw and just have like the audio edited for like podcasts.
Well, Jacob, once again, suggesting more work for me to do when he does nothing but get our Twitter account permabanned. Otherwise, probably the closest you can get to that raw experience would be episode 2, You Lucky Dog, where I couldn't bring myself. I was like, fuck this, I don't want to edit this whole thing, so I just didn't. Whereas every other episode I've gone through and fairly meticulously cut and, spice stuff up to make it sound nicer in a lot of different ways, so... I guess, and that's also our second episode, so we were even less polished than the true professionals that are talking into the microphones today.
Yeah.
So with that, I mean, that was quite the cul-de-sac we went into, as anytime we talk about, coming, we got to spend some time on that.
Times.
And as I'm saying that, I'm saying, a lot. But my special news was that I have now gotten both doses of my vaccine for COVID-19.
And did you experience any symptoms after your last one?
Yes, the second one, I did feel pretty bad afterwards.
Vomit?
But no.
Oh. Okay.
Just kind of aches and chills, fatigue. Stuff that was at least more noticeable than my usual state of fatigue and tiredness. That just exists. I tell people at work, because I did go home early the day after I got the second shot.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I was actually feeling better. And they're like, oh, well, that's good. And I say, well, yeah, but I'm not 100% because honestly, I'm never 100%. At best, I'm usually like 80%.
So they're just like,
I was probably at like 70% or something. But yeah, shout outs to being a state employee for the state of Minnesota in an inpatient care setting where I was deemed worthy of getting a vaccine. And I'm not going to argue about it. So that means I'm well suited for licking doorknobs, playing board games in person, and maybe even wrestling some people in person.
Oh my.
Segue to the movie we watched today, a little movie called
Going to the Mat.
Yes, not as I thought briefly when I was trying to Google stuff about it, of Taking It to the Mat.
Taking It.
Which
is that another movie?
I don't think so.
It exists out there.
I mean, it's maybe not a feature-length film, though.
Oh, no.
It's a nondescript title, but it is it's a very descriptive film. I don't know what I'm saying. It is a Lawrence brother vehicle, maybe the last we'll get. It stars
I hope not.
The baby Lawrence,
The
Andrew,
fetus child,
who would go on later in his career to direct Money Plane, starring the rated R superstar Edge, Adam Copeland. But now in this movie, he plays a teenager, a blind youth,
blind man
named Jace. And as you might expect from a movie about wrestling, we open with a shot of a rock organ.
Oh, absolutely.
Some organist is jamming out. And we pan out and we see that this is actually a jazz concert.
It's huge. There's like hundreds of people here cheering on Jace.
So I don't know if it was supposed to be, because we saw an external shot, I believe, and it might have been a known place in New York City, but it wasn't recognizable, at least to me. But who was recognizable was the drummer on stage, who...
Andrew Lawrence.
Is Andrew Lawrence, as we mentioned. His name is Jace. I think it's short for Jason. He's one of a couple of characters who has a nickname, and then there's one character who prominently does not have a nickname, who probably should.
There's plenty of notable actors in this movie, too.
Yeah. It's
star-studded cast.
It reminded me of watching, I just watched last night, Dick Tracy. That was a star-studded cast, just like this. Oh my gosh, Al Pacino's just there playing on the guitar in the background. There. No, we kid, but who's not kidding around?
Like this band, they were rocking or whatever they were. I don't even know what it was for.
And knowing the premise of this movie, which is a blind kid goes and wrestles, it's like, I feel like it would be impressive if we just learned about how he became a really good drummer because he's jamming out crazy.
Moved past it pretty quick, just like his whole, this first life of his or this life that he was living. And segueing
because the next scene, we see him at the park with his friends, and he's playing baseball.
Yeah.
Both hitting and pitching.
So he's a great musician. We see what we later find out, his parents in the crowd cheering him on. Everybody's cheering him on. We don't know the context of what this concert was. Who knows? He's
playing for the president of the United States.
There was hundreds of people there, though. It was wild. But yeah, he's good. He's a good drummer. That we know.
And the next day, as he's playing baseball with his friends, we're hearing about how he has to move to Utah because his dad's job...
Is that where it was, Utah?
Yeah, and we never learn what his dad actually does. And from most of this movie, we don't see his parents really seeming to work at all.
No.
But they gotta go to Utah.
And there's a clicking noise. Tapping, clicking?
Yeah, we hear a constant beeping.
Beeping, yeah, I don't know.
That we eventually figure out he has a machine because... Shortly after moving to Utah, he goes and shoots hoops in the park.
And he puts the beeping machine up on the rim.
But we never see him actually do it.
No, it's just there.
He's got the echolocation kind of he calls himself, hey, call me Daredevil. So he throws it up there and that allows him to, I guess, locate stuff better. But it's never really explained, so it's very is there something wrong with Disney Plus? Or just constant beeping. Yes, so as he's in his new town of Utah, which he is not happy about because it's not New York City, it's some
and he's missing all his friends.
Who cares? His best friend was the Big Apple.
That's what I'm saying. All of his early life, he never really put up a fuss. I don't want to move. He lost all of his friends. He lost his music career. Everything. Gone.
But you know who we might gain? A new friend in Zero from Holes.
Yes.
Who has a real name that I don't remember, but most people call him Fly because he's small.
Yep.
But he was like, hey, I want to play hoops with you. But then he finds out he's blind. So then he gets scared and says, I'll see you around, man.
Yeah.
And then it's the first day at his new school, and his mom drops him off, and he says, nah, Ma, I don't need you to walk me around. I'll do it myself. And we get a very dramatic shot
of him tripping into the door.
Well, but could have even been from a music video or something where he's just standing in the hallway, and everybody else is moving around him, sped up, and he's just standing right there.
That was good.
Which, obviously, a new environment is always very challenging for a blind person, but he existed in New York City, so
where there's
he should be used to lots of crowds and craziness. But then he gets bumped into...
A woman.
By... Yeah, I can't remember if he bumps into her or...
She finds him because she's looking for him.
Yeah, but first he bumps into who we'll later find out to be the team captain for the wrestling team at the school.
Cowboy.
Turns around and says, "Hey man, you blind or something?" And then immediately realizes that because Jace is wearing sunglasses and also has a cane.
But we're not feeling bad for Jace because he like for like the first half an hour he's kind of like a jerk.
Well, it was, right away he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, farm boy. Was I fucking your cow?
Yeah,
moo moo."
Yeah, like legit though. Like that's the
he says, "Hey, you were talking side of beef. This is crazy. This town sucks. You're all poor country bumpkins. I'm from New York."
Yeah, he's not very likable right away.
No,
like we're not feeling sorry for him being blind. We wish he was deaf too.
Jacob is speaking only for himself there. His views do not represent his employer or the podcast. Then he bumps into Mary Beth, who... She's a very odd-looking girl. Her hairstyle is very curly blonde hair. Reminds me a lot of... Her
attire.
Yeah, and her attire is...
She wears, like, sweaters that 90-year-old women that would wear.
Yeah, I thought she looked very 1950s or 1960s. And we'll eventually find out her dad is the coach of the wrestling team, which I don't know if that should influence her attire or not, but whatever. Hey, we're just judgy people here on a whole new pod. But she is one of his assigned readers, which he doesn't have any other readers I don't think we see in the movie.
We never see another one.
She says that she's doing it because she's getting paid, which that's cool. I'd take a gig reading to a blind kid if I got some of that cheddar.
Yeah.
My next note is Jace is a huge asshole.
100%. Something we later find out. We can say this about I don't know. Do we want to say like who Mary Beth is in relation to? Nah, never mind.
Like as in the daughter of the coach.
Daughter. Yeah.
I literally just said that.
Oh.
Thanks for listening, Jacob.
I'm just.
Jacob is a huge asshole.
Yes.
So Jace, he's like, "Hey, is this Mrs. So-and-so's English class?" And somebody's like, "Yeah, here, let me help you to your seat." And then somebody says, "Hey, where are you from?" "From the best place on earth, New York City. This place sucks my dick." And everybody says, "Oh,
okay.
Okay."
And then here comes Farm Boy.
But it was at a point with this where I'm like, is this the same jock bully guy? Because he looks so... Jacob kept thinking he knew him from some other movie, and I said, I don't think you do.
Jeepers Creepers 2?
He's just so generically jock character that at some point in this movie, I was like, is he the same guy, or are these two different characters?
I know it, or somebody, he looks like somebody from some other movie. I don't know. He's very familiar.
I probably won't refer to him too often by his first name,
Boy.
But his name is John. I think I mostly refer to him in my...
John Boy. We can call him John Boy.
No. I mostly wrote like team captain in my notes.
Yeah.
Then he goes to music class where we see...
Wayne Brady! It's Wayne
the big
Brady.
Name of the movie, who he just keeps showing up, and it's like, what's the point of this? But Wayne Brady is the band teacher.
But he's blind, which is why he continues to show up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because he can't find his way home.
Exactly. I think he makes a joke about that.
He does make a joke like that.
So poor later.
So they're playing some, I think, Bach piece, some classical music, which I don't know why Jace would be set up at a drum kit anyways. Yeah. But he's on a drum kit. He starts jamming out.
Like in the middle, like he like disrupts everybody.
Yeah.
And then...
He's a show-off. Zero is there in class. He's on the piano and he starts jamming with him.
Yeah, so they're jamming and Mary Beth's like, what the hell? And Wayne Brady, he kind of gets pissed. Well, he just like tells him to stop, and then he like goes up and gets in his face. But like neither of them know. I don't think that
I
they're
did
blind.
think it was kind of a cool idea or moment of them both being blind, not knowing that the other one is blind. Because how could you really know?
Yeah.
And then, he really tells him off.
Yeah,
like,
gives him a big...
you missed to think that you're better than Johann Sebastian Bach. You're going to rewrite his stuff 300 years later. You're so cool.
You think you're special? You think you're special? And then he walks back up to the chalkboard or whatever, the front of the class, and Mary Beth makes a comment. Or was it Mary Beth or some other girl?
It was just some random girl.
He says, he's just like you. And then Jace, like, loud and proud says, it's blind leading the blind. And then
Wayne Brady says, haha, that was a funny joke.
Go next door to the juggling class.
He says, if you want to juggle or be a clown, go next door. I said, is that a real thing at this school?
Probably.
They bring up that there's maybe an archery team here. Yeah. This sounds like a pretty cool school.
Yeah, Utah is the place to be.
Then Zero tells Jace afterwards, hey, stop messing with the wrestling team. Stop being some cocky dick, because they basically run this school.
Yeah.
And if you want to fit in and be cool, you should just be a jock.
This is, I think, a time when Zero's first called Fly. Like, he's like pushed into a locker and they're like, buzz off, Fly. And then he's like, why do you fly?
Like, what's that all about?
And then he feels his hair. He's like, oh, you're a short one.
I did pick up on that.
He like touches his head.
The gym teacher, who is also the wrestling coach, won't let Jace play basketball in gym class.
Yeah.
And we're like, dude, he's amazing at basketball.
He is. He's really good at basketball.
Or I guess he says he can only take bounce passes. And the gym teacher's like, I can't put that upon my students, that they can only use bounce passes. No. Which was kind of weird to add that in there, because this is the wrestling coach. And he is very nice in accepting the rest of the movie. And this part felt like it was setting him up to be...
Was it the same coach?
Yes, it was. But then he's totally cool in the rest of the movie.
I guess I didn't realize it was the same guy.
But, who's not cool? Jocks. As they continue to bully Jace.
Well, he, like, stumbles over to the bleachers and finds his Braille book and, I don't know, his stuff.
Well, in class, he has a tape recorder to help with some of his stuff. They steal that, and then immediately there's a fire alarm. So he doesn't have his tape recorder back yet, and he's stumbling around trying to get outside.
But John Boy helps him get outside.
Well, but first some other jocks, like, push him around, and then he falls and, like, loses his cane and gets disoriented.
He's slamming on the door. He's slamming on a locked door, thinking, like, everybody's already out while the fire's happening, but he's, like, panicking, and then Farm Boy comes and, like, guides him out. And then he's just standing, and everybody's just kind of, like, they're all whispering, like, don't look at him, he's blind.
So then, shortly after this, Mary Beth tells him that people aren't mean to him because he's blind, but it's because he's a huge dick
prick.
And makes fun of them for living in Utah. Yeah. Which he was, in, like, the earlier scenes in the movie, was doing that, but I didn't feel like we had enough, like, back and forth for, like, him to be walking around during a fire drill and literally no single member of the student body was willing to help him at all throughout all of that. Yeah. Like, I can understand the jocks.
Well, they might not. He lost his cane. They didn't know he was blind. That's his fault.
Come on. They very much treated this as, oh my God, the new kid's blind. Yeah. Everybody knows who he is because he's Andrew Lawrence.
Yeah, I agree.
Mary Beth suggests that, hey, you want to be cool? You want to fit in? Maybe you should just join the wrestling team.
Yeah, why not?
And Zero says, that's crazy. And then Jay says, you think that's crazy? And he pulls Zero in and tells the coach that both him and Zero want to join the wrestling team.
And so coach gives him Zero, like, 15 tapes.
And
he says, watch these. Have Zero watch these and explain the moves to you, and then come back in a week.
So then we get a practice montage of Jace and Zero during practice, struggling, doing things as basic.
They can't even run.
Things as basic as running, though we see Zero multiple times riding his bike around town. Yeah. So he has some amount of stamina.
Yeah.
Doing other, I don't know, wrestling practice warm-up moves.
Crab crawls, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. And then the teammates are making fun of them. Hey, let's take a bet on how long they last. They won't be here.
And he hears it. And I think that's just, there's like little like side comments like that throughout from like either the jocks or like the other teams that they face. They're just motivation.
There's one coming up shortly, but the real instigator of this incident is Jace is practicing with somebody that's not Zero. I kind of figured they would just be paired up always, but The guy is in some kind of hold over his back, so his head is directly behind Jace's. And Jace puts his head up too quick and smacks him and basically like breaks his nose.
And then he's like, what the hell? Why'd you let a handicap in here?
They basically were like, why would you let somebody who can't see on the team, Coach? I hate blind people.
Yeah. And then Coach is like helping him out and he's whispering in his ear like secret moves and stuff like that.
Don't put your head up too quick. And then it puts you off balance.
And then we see Jace with another opponent.
This guy is named Luke. And he has, I think, Jacob's favorite line of the movie.
Yeah.
What's your favorite nursery rhyme? Is it 3 blind mice?
And then Jace loses his shit and, like, slams him, or I don't know.
Yeah, he does some kind of, like, arm takedown.
He's gonna, like, break his arm.
Yeah. Well, foreshadowing maybe what happens to Luke. But, yeah, I don't know. I think within the moment, it's a funny line. Mice.
It was,
but
yeah,
it's not.
It was
it's like
clever.
This. I'm thinking what the thought process of this bully kid would be. He says, I want to say 3 blind mice to him. How should I do
Helen Keller?
What's your favorite nursery rhyme? Yeah, that sounds real tough. 3 blind mice. No, it's actually a Little Miss Muffet.
What other options did Disney have?
I just don't put the line in.
Well, you got to be bully. He's got to be a bully. He deserves.
Be like, do you think I'm an elephant right now because you're in a room with a bunch of blind people and you don't know what's in there with you? Sorry, it wouldn't actually be. You'd be like, you think I'm a snake when I'm actually an elephant's trunk? I've got a big penis.
Oh my lord.
I don't know, but yes, he is at odds physically with some of the members of the team.
And maybe mentally.
Coach chews out Jace and says, hey, wrestling, it's physical, but it's not just about aggression. It's also about intelligence.
Yes.
You got to lead with your brawn and your brain.
And your boner.
But also your heart, which is located in your pants.
Boner. Oh, yes.
So the team then has a preseason scrimmage against their rival team, who I think are called the Cowboys, which Jace makes fun of because I guess they're Cowboys because they're country, and it's like, oh, Dallas Cowboys, they're in the middle of nowhere. So he's still pretty annoying. But there's some starting some homoerotic tension between the team captains. So we have
that's fine.
John and T-Rex Turner. So as I said, we have Jace. We have Zero's nickname is Fly.
Yes.
But as far as we can tell, his name, his Christian name, his legal birth name is T-Rex.
T-Rex Turner.
He's not Thomas T-Rex Turner. It's just T-Rex.
T-Rex. And that's, I don't know, like looking at him, I don't know where the name even really comes from. He's just always grinning. He always has his teeth showing, I guess.
Yeah, it's just supposed to sound tough. But then within a wrestling context,
he looks pretty lame.
Don't T-Rexes, aren't they short arms? Famously for having short arms?
Yeah.
T-Rex is he reminds me of the mean kid in A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Where he's got some nasty teeth. He's maybe even got some freckles too, just smiling. He looks like a kid who would be in wrestling. So, well casted Disney Channel.
Great villain. This wasn't like a practice scrimmage. This was like a preseason kind of thing.
Exactly. It was both a preseason and a scrimmage.
Yeah. Wow.
They make amateur wrestling seem legitimately exciting. And at least from my experience of watching my cousins, one of their high school, well, maybe one of my cousins, maybe he was like a freshman or 8th grade. It was within a high school setting though. And I'll tell you, they ain't there's constantly lifts and
like
suplexes and slams, grabbing people's legs.
Yeah.
Nothing. Maybe that happens on a collegiate or Olympic level, but not from what I saw in high school.
These kids are like crazy.
I'm not trying to say that amateur wrestling is stupid, while obviously I'm a much more fan of professional wrestling.
But the moves that were being done on them, some of them look hard, rough.
Those are the ones where I'm like, well, I just saw a lot of sweaty kids rolling on the ground. And that's not to say that amateur wrestling is stupid. I think there's plenty, and I was even getting into this a little bit when I was watching it. There is legitimate strategy and, how to counterattack the hold you might be in and all that kind of stuff that I respect. It just was not interesting for me to watch my cousins do it. No. And then very funnily, and there's nothing wrong with this, but I waited a long time to watch my cousin wrestle. And he lost to a girl.
Oh, no.
Which...
Oof, you hate to see
I haven't made fun of him too much about that, but... Yeah, I was I waited an hour or something, and then the matches last maybe a minute.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
tough scene.
And the bleachers at the school we went to were so narrow, my legs hurt so much. And I said, this was like a Saturday. I'm not wasting my weekends going to this bullshit if it's not my own offspring, which I would not let my kids go into wrestling because of kids like T-Rex. Yeah. He's scary. And we see him here with heavy metal backing music, like literally like. So,
yes, there was a confrontation between T-Rex and John, right?
Yes.
So, Coach sees this confrontation and
he says, "You're not facing T-Rex.
You're going to get hurt.
I'm going to put Luke in instead."
So, what happens? Luke breaks his arm. Or does something.
T-Rex fucks him up and breaks his arm and has to be sent out in a fucking
ambulance.
I was going to say a hospital. A whole hospital came and picked him up. Yeah, he is ambulanced out there, which really scares Zero. Fortunately, like, Zero is in a weight class where he's probably only facing off against
he fights like
6th graders that are being moved up because his weight is 103.
Yeah, he's 103. I don't know what Andrew Lawrence was.
He's more 145, 150 or so.
Bigger dude.
He's a little chonky.
Yeah.
But not as chonky as he was in Horse Sense.
No.
So the team talks about Jace being on the team and how it's affecting them negatively.
And this is when, it's not yet.
What I was thinking was they're not even in the actual season yet.
No, not
and
yet.
The coach had previously said, hey, what we do is we have wrestle-offs every 2 weeks to see who makes it into the weight class for the team. So it's like, well, if he isn't going to win that, he won't be on the team, so he's not going to be hurting their bottom line anyways.
But now he doesn't have any competition because the one guy's out.
Yeah, well, we didn't even really know where he matched up yet. Yeah. But then we get, they're just keeping him around they were too worried about being politically correct. And then a very prescient moment of immediately after that, they turn to another kid on the team and say, "Hey, boomer," who then they do some really dumb joke where they draw an eye on a piece of paper and put like the nose symbol over it.
Can't see.
And then tape it to Andrew Lawrence's back.
Yeah.
And the coach finds it and chews them out.
Mary Beth is freaking out. She sees it. She's all panicking. And the coach sees it before he gets onto the mat. And he, gives him a hug or I don't know. He's like, yeah, good luck out there. And he pulls it off. And then he, scolds the boys, too.
Hey, coach, it was just a joke. And the coach says, jokes are funny. And I said, that is good because this was not funny.
No. And
what's... It would have been funnier if it just said, kick me on it.
I feel like in other movies that aren't DCOMs or aren't Disney movies, coaches usually go along with their top players, fuck him, they would just be jerks.
There's definitely some idyllic lens that a lot of the sports stuff in these movies gets filtered through because we'll see later on that there's the team captain starts a failed Spanish class. And if this was a real high school where the team captain is almost going to make it to the state
passing.
Either he'd be getting decent grades or he would get a C- or whatever. They would not try to affect his playing chances.
Correct. 100%.
He'd get a good scholarship to his school to major in communications. Then we get a fun little montage of Jace and Zero losing a bunch of matches.
Yeah, Jace is getting thrown around hard.
He's getting thrown around.
And Zero just, I don't know, he always just looks like he's swimming and just no water. Yeah. He's just hopeless, helpless. He quits the team, I think, right here, too. Doesn't he? Or not quite yet?
No.
Or
he never actually does quit the team.
No, he doesn't. But he, talks about it. He's like, I'm done. But he doesn't quit.
Well, you know who didn't quit the movie? Wayne Brady. You remember Wayne Brady?
Yeah, he's in this.
So he's still in the movie, and Jace goes and just randomly talks to him.
On the
Wayne
bleachers.
Brady very much fills in a Mr. Miyagi, Rafiki from the Lion King role of the wise sage that he goes to ask advice about being blind from. So this is one of about 2 or 3 scenes
There's
like
a few
that.
Scenes, yeah.
We didn't actually really pay attention to what he says because he goes to him at the bleachers of the school's track.
And we just noticed all these various people running in the background. Somebody had shorts and short sleeves.
There was just
somebody was bundled up with full winter attire.
Well, it was more funny because we saw some random girl and it's you think that was planned? But then we also noticed that there was a track and field track here. Yes. But she's running on the grass.
She's not on the track.
This is why was she not good enough? Is she not allowed on the track? But we are talking up this very interesting little background character, and we did not listen to anything that Wayne Brady said.
And then we see an old person on the track walking.
Very exciting.
Yes.
So then Jace takes whatever advice he got from Wayne Brady and starts pumping some iron. He's working hard.
Really working hard, and Farm Boy catches him in the weight room, and he makes the comment, practice was done an hour ago. And then Jace is like struggling, I think, to pick up a weight, and he's like, oh, let me help. And he's like, no, I can do it. I don't want people to think that I didn't put my all into this.
Yeah, that he hasn't earned his spot on the team, or he's always very aware and worried about being the freak factor on the team, or he's getting there from charity or for optics or whatever the case is.
So John Boy leaves, and Mary Beth comes in.
He's starting to earn the respect of the team captain. Jace is...
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, they're starting... There's a crossover happening there, but Mary Beth comes in and she's giving him shit because he's not doing his homework.
Yeah, well, my note is, after some bordering on romantic conversation with Mary Beth, which I didn't pay attention to, then we start to see Jace improve, and he actually wins a match.
His first match.
Whether it's a season game or a preseason game.
It's probably a preseason, irrelevant one.
This is another movie.
Zero isn't winning yet, though.
This is a rare DCOM where it's not rare because we don't always really understand how the seasons work in these movies. But what's rare is they don't go to state. And I always keep thinking that next competition is state, and it's never actually
it's never state.
But we're not quite to not state.
No, we got like 4 more tourneys.
A reporter asks Jace after his first win for an interview, but Jace is starting to pick up on starting to navigate the politics of the team dynamics there, where he says, hey, I'm just part of a team, so maybe you could talk to some of my teammates because they're doing really good stuff too. Or, hey, if you really want that interview with me, maybe let me win a few more matches so we really got something to talk about.
He's just looking out, and I think this is kind of coming after Mary Beth kind of had the, you're kind of like a prick. They had a couple of those
No, I think it came out after just, the team being a dick to him. And I think maybe he overheard some of the stuff about, hey, you're just on the team because you're blind.
Yeah. So he just wants respect because he just wants to be a good wrestler, not just because of his handicap.
Yeah, whatever the case is. So, oh no, the team captain's failing Spanish. We get one of those storylines, like in, I don't know, Gotta Kick It Up or something. Yeah. But fortunately, Jace is very good at Spanish and says he'll help the team captain. And he admits to the team captain, because the team captain says, why would you help me?
Yeah.
And Jace says, hey, I've been a dick too. So, in the words of Melania Trump, I'll be best and help you with your Spanish. And then it's a little, I'll scratch your back, you'll scratch my back. Because then team captain starts to help him with his weight training and gives him some tips about how to do a German suplex or something. Now they're just the best of friends. Then Jace and Wayne Brady have a jam session where Wayne Brady in this situation in the band room is playing the drums, but Jace is also really good at the guitar. If we didn't mention that, Jace can play baseball. He's amazing at the drums. He's amazing at the guitar. He can shoot basketball, probably better than me.
He's good. Zero at one point says, oh, you're a better basketball player than me, and you can't see.
So this would be one of those situations
He's training threes.
Where if he wasn't blind, I probably would be, I am annoyed with his character, but we're supposed to be slightly. But if he wasn't blind and he was just, he would be Cody from the 13th year.
Yeah.
Where he's just amazing at everything.
There'd be no point to this movie.
No. But then what was the point of the 13th year? Cody was amazing. Everybody loved him. He became a mermaid, which was really cool. Yes. And then he gets to live in both worlds. Cody gets everything. Yeah. And Jace, he's almost Cody level because
Cody
being blind is kind of a superpower.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
No.
Daredevil is a superhero.
That was not a joke.
Anyways, Jace continues to win for the team, or continues to win his matches, and the team starts to accept him.
Yeah.
But Zero starts to feel left out here because he's getting invited to parties. The team's all like, yeah, Jace, you're our fucking seeing eye dog. Yes. I don't know. But we'll kind of get what's going on with Zero a little bit later. But the previously injured wrestler, Luke, who now Jace has taken his weight class spot. But he had a broken arm, and now it's been 5 weeks or something, and the coach is not letting him get back into action because it's still too soon. He says, hey, you're a junior, you'll still have next year. I don't want you to permanently injure yourself and risk your future career or whatever.
Yeah.
Very dramatic stuff.
Very.
But then this kid is getting into Jace's face, saying, hey, you're just a charity case. He's just doing it to get good public attention, yada, yada, yada. So Jace goes to the coach and says, I want to wrestle off.
Yeah, he's got to earn this spot.
But coach tells him that he's not keeping him
because
for the
you're the
freak
best.
Factor.
You worked your ass off. I've always did what's in the best interest of the team.
Yeah, he says, I don't see a blind kid. I see a kid who's just working hard and earning his spot.
That's right.
So again, the coach is pretty cool in this.
Yeah, I mean, outside that first scene where he's a prick at basketball practice.
Well, speaking of being outside and being kind of a prick, he's talking to Mary Beth about something.
Yeah.
And then Mary Beth says the line, well, I think you should just do whatever you want.
And he
takes that as to...
goes in for the kill.
He immediately just kisses her.
It's not even like a slow, like, embrace or like a slow,
Jacob made me rewind it.
Well, because he missed it. That's how quick it was. It was like, he just like goes and like eats her face and then that's it.
And then he's like, oh, sorry. If
you told me to do whatever I wanted, man.
If that was weird, we'll just like forget it. And it's like, 2004.
And she's like,
where you could just aggressively kiss girls. Yeah. And it was in a Disney Channel show. And it was okay.
That's not the first time, or that's not the last time that happens either.
We probably won't remember to say that, but towards the end, John, the team captain, wins a match, and he just runs off the side and grabs a cheerleader and kisses her.
I guess.
Hey,
eyes on the prize, baby.
As Fly said, the wrestling team runs the school. So Zero tells Jace that he's jealous of how he's winning because when they first started out on the wrestling team, because Zero didn't really want to join, but they both sucked, so that was cool. But now Jace is like good in everything, and what the fuck is up with that? So now Zero feels left out. Their conversation, which happens at the park, gets interrupted by the partying wrestling team driving by saying, hey, come on, Jace, we're gonna go fucking slam dooskies and chomp down on some durgers. And then Zero says, well, see ya. Because Zero, despite being on the team, does not get invited to the parties.
No, he never gets invited to the parties. But what happens, though?
He goes home, and then Jace is there to meet him.
He shows up. He's like, you didn't want to go to the party? And he's like, you want to dance?
Exactly.
And then we see them in Zero's house. And he's got, like, they're just swaying back and forth, holding hands. But it's all about wrestling. He's
all
teaching,
about wrestling, guys.
Yes,
come on.
It's all about wrestling. He's trying to show him how Mary Beth taught him.
There was some
moves,
scene
right?
I think we didn't talk about.
With a big
how
ass teddy bear.
She
bought him a teddy bear that's probably the size of a large
Zero.
dog. Very big.
What is she using that teddy bear?
A mastiff. Oh no, let's not go there.
This seems like, maybe Zero's getting the DL, though. It's a little presumptuous of Jace being like, I've won some matches, now I'm going to tell you how to wrestle. But Jace is amazing at everything.
So he basically trains him to be the greatest 103 wrestler in the world. Zero never loses a match ever again.
Yeah, I think that's mostly right.
He wins 3 or 4 in a row.
So then we find out that the team captain, probably he was stress eating about his Spanish grade.
He gained 6 fucking pounds in I don't know, less than a week.
In between the tournaments or matches or whatever. So if he doesn't lose the 6 pounds, he won't be in the right weight class to face T-Rex Turner.
Yes, he's got to cut weight. He's got to cut all that water weight.
In 2 days.
Yeah, 6 pounds in 2 days.
So before this face off with T-Rex, Jace finally has his wrestle off with Luke, and he wins.
Beats him in 10 seconds. It was nothing.
I think it was a German suplex or some kind of suplex.
It was a move that
the captain had taught him.
Yeah, Farmer Brown taught him.
But this was gnarly as hell. He wins, but he had dislocated his shoulder.
Yeah, so his shoulder's like hanging out, popped out. And like I
mean, it didn't look like a real dislocated shoulder.
Coach is feeling him up. He's like, I can fix this. And then he's like, Mary Beth. And then he just snaps his arm and it fixes it. And that's a realistic injury that can happen to a wrestler, but I don't know if it needed to be in this movie. Well, it serves, I guess it kind of does. It comes back later on in the movie.
It doesn't.
It doesn't pop out, but the same arm hurts though because he makes a comment. Oh, did it pop out again?
Well, they could have just had it pop out. It just really hurts.
Well, because then he's like crippled the whole rest of that match, and to some degree,
there was one more period left. There was not a lot of dramatic tension.
There was a callback.
But it just seems like it couldn't have even necessarily been related because he gets dropped on that shoulder in that match. So it could have just been injured in the match.
Yes.
And realistically, if his shoulder got dislocated, he would not be wrestling in 2 days against the fucking
why not?
Cowboys.
Why not?
Get the fuck out of here. So the team captain is able to make his weight class, but he's pretty fatigued and worn out. And Jace is like, hey, man, it's not that big a deal if T-Rex, like, kills your mom or whatever. You'll just move on. And he says, no. Wrestling is my life. And this is where it's really put into perspective. It's like, Jace, I don't have music, multiple instruments, basketball, a girlfriend.
I'm not
like
good at
you.
Homework. I suck at school. I suck at life. All I'm good at is wrestling.
And then the metal music is back, and we're hearing it because that's basically T-Rex's theme.
Yes.
And then T-Rex beats John, the team captain.
They make a comment like during it, like, "Oh, he's just so weak. He's so weak. He doesn't have the energy."
Well,
that
this
he
is my favorite
does.
part of the movie because there's announcers there, which I don't know if that's the wrestling tournament I went to had multi schools at it, and it was just like a massive gymnasium of like multiple mats. This is just one school versus one school, one mat at a time, and they have announcers that everybody can hear. So they announce, "Oh, John, team captain, whatever," but then they announce T-Rex Turner, not as like a nickname or whatever. It's just his name is T-Rex Turner.
That's pretty good. He's the villain.
Yes, he actually is. He is the final boss of going to the mat. And I don't know if we even see Jace wrestle at this competition, but whatever the case is, they're somehow at a tie, and then Zero wrestles.
Zero comes in and wins.
And
this
he
is
wins.
his first win, I believe.
And it's not like a pin victory. It's a point or a count out or whatever the case is.
And they win. They win, and then they hoist him high above their
And then I was
shoulders.
like, oh, does this mean they go to state?
No.
Nope. They go to something else. So Coach tells the captain at the following practice that, hey, you know what? I made you lose all that weight. That was fucked up of me. So you know what? You can put it back on. You can go up to the higher weight class.
So you're just getting too chunky. You're just a chunky boy. You're growing. You're a grown boy.
But I want my rematch with T-Rex. Well, you're not going to get it. So he storms off.
So then he forces Jace to gain like 6 pounds.
Yeah, Jace is going to... No, because he's at the weight class.
Oh, they're in the same weight class?
I guess.
He must have had to gain a little bit.
I don't know. So Jace is going to be facing T-Rex. Luke, the guy that Jace beat in a wrestle-off, is going to go,
back into his role.
So then, Jace must need to gain...
a few pounds.
Some weight, or... it doesn't really make sense.
No. Who cares?
I don't. So then his parents ask him back at home, because remember his parents? I don't. They've hardly been in the movie. But they say, Jace, what's wrong? It's T-Rex, mama. He gonna break me in half.
Yeah, he's scared. Scared boy.
So who do you go to when you're scared? Well,
Wayne Brady.
I go to Wayne Brady.
The goat.
And Wayne Brady says, you wanted to be like everyone else. You didn't want to be the blind kid or whatever. You want to be like everybody else? Well, everybody's afraid.
Yeah. Is this the jam session they have?
No, that was earlier. That had really no like greater inspirational purpose, I don't think. It was just that, hey, he's supposed to be good at music.
Yeah.
Or they're both supposed to be good at music.
They were playing some blues.
So this is enough for Jace to feel that he can take on T-Rex. So then he goes and finds the team captain, and he inspires him to wrestle. And he's inspired because he's like, Jace, you're not afraid of T-Rex? And he's probably like, I am, but fucking, I'm going to be the meteor that made the dinosaurs go extinct.
Wow. He was sitting on that one.
Well, he didn't say that.
You were.
Yep, that's...
You had that plan.
Yeah, I actually watched this movie
Exposed
multiple times this week just to come up with hilarious jokes like that.
I believe it.
So then it is the big game. But
game.
not state. There are actual banners that say all state, but then this maybe is all regional or something.
Yeah, it was all regionals. All regionals. So all regionals.
So yeah, they built up to this first match with the Cowboys, which I thought was determining who was going to go to state. It's not. Then they face off at the regionals, but they only face the Cowboys there. And then we'll see what happens there. And then they go to state. But T-Rex is going to be there too.
Yeah, like he's everywhere. He's.
So the layout is John, the team captain, is not wrestling T-Rex. He wins. Zero wins the little scrawny kid he wrestles against. But Luke, that cocky bastard, he loses his match. So it's confusing because they kind of talk about how wrestling scoring works, but they don't entirely. So it seems like there's points for takedowns and escapes and a lot of points for pins.
Yeah.
And through whatever math this is, it's come down to...
They're ahead.
We haven't mentioned the wrestling team. There's a fuck ton of kids on this team.
There's a fuck ton of kids at practice. There's like 40 kids, but we only ever see like 6.
Or even less. We see 3 or 4 matches max. Yeah. And somehow that's deciding the whole factor for the team. So the math works out that it's come down for if Jace does not get pinned by T-Rex Turner.
Yes, because Tomboy and Zero both won their matches, and they're up by like 4, I think.
Yeah, whatever it is, he just can't get pinned, which I don't even know if that adds up be accurate.
Who knows?
But the heavy metal music is back when he's facing off against T-Rex. It's pretty dramatic. He gets slammed.
He gets slammed probably 10 times.
And one of those, as we were arguing about a little bit ago, he lands on the shoulder that got popped out, but it's at the end of a period.
Coach
so the coach is saying,
and
hey.
says, oh, did it pop out again?
And he's, nope, it didn't. Okay.
They took an injury timeout in the middle of the match. And it stopped the clock at 28 seconds.
Okay.
Yes.
So then he gets put back in. And then the shoulder doesn't really seem to be an issue because he just immediately lifts up T-Rex.
Yeah.
And then he actually puts T-Rex in like a pinning predicament where he almost pins T-Rex.
Because the coach tells him he's going to try to feed on that. He's going to try to hurt you there. So give him the bait. He says
use your shoulder as bait, but then they blow the whistle and he just immediately lifts him up. Yeah, so no bait at all.
No bait.
But then I think T-Rex I can't remember if he just doesn't get pinned or then he flips it around on Jace and then Jace doesn't get pinned. Whatever the case is,
he wins or he loses.
T-Rex wins the match, but the team wins overall.
Yes.
So T-Rex has respect for Jace. He holds up his hand and then he says, "I'll see you at state."
And then he says,
like, why does any of this matter then?
And then he says, that move's not going to work again.
So yes, I think usually within state tournaments, maybe this is just Minnesota, but it's like an individual qualifies, not necessarily a team. So in this, it seems that Jace's team made it to state, but T-Rex also made it to state.
Yes.
But maybe not his team. But then why would Jace necessarily make it to state if he didn't beat T-Rex?
As a team. The team's gone.
So yes, it's all very stupid, but the team loves Jace. They hoist him up on their shoulders. I forgot. I wrote in my notes that at one point...
Mary Beth is freaking out.
Yeah, everybody's freaking out. She's playing the drum.
Yeah, she starts banging the drum for him.
The coach is looking up at the sky, and this is where I meant to make a joke about, like, Judah Maccabee, save us.
Yeah, Jace is our king. Lord and Savior.
Then the news reporter comes up to Jace and says, well, hey, now that you've... Well, I guess technically lost, but you've won some more matches and you've done well for your team. Can I have that article, this interview now? And Jace says, oh, sure, but maybe talk to my teammates about me first. So
the reporter asks him, so what was it like working with Jace all year being blind? And they're like, he was blind? That was...
What?
That was the first time I knew that. And then they just make it like into a joke and they're asking like 5 different people on the team, did you know Jace is blind? It never occurred to me. Did you know he was blind? No.
See, and this works as like, we're not seeing his disability. Yeah. But at the same time, it is a big deal for him to be blind and be as successful as a wrestler.
Yes.
Which
If it was any other reporter, I think they would have given him like a good interview. But this guy was just like a dick. This reporter is just
wasn't, though.
I mean, like, he came into their locker room.
It would be any fucking local newspaper desperate for news. There's a local kid on the wrestling team who's blind and wins a match. You'll want to fucking interview him.
He just seemed like a shady guy. He just.
That's maybe how they wanted to present him, but it wasn't.
No, I know what you. Yes, I know what you mean.
But yeah, I think it's just kind of, we take it for shorthand that he's so good at everything else in his spatial awareness, but I feel like there should have been more really to delve into him being blind as a wrestler. It's kind of just like he struggles and then he gets good, but like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more that going on there.
Mary Beth taught him some secret night lessons. Because we didn't mention it, Mary Beth was late one night at Jace's house and he wanted to give her a kiss. And she said, no, Papa's watching.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I fully forgot there was a scene where the team captain, as he's doing his workout to lose the weight, it's intercut with Jace and Mary Beth playing like drums together, sensually. Yeah. But then they cut back to them once and they're just wearing goofy Groucho Marx glasses and like the weird glasses.
Some weird stuff
just not explained at all.
Yeah.
Whereas then the team captain's just sweating it up on an exercise bike.
No. We like that.
We've told the news reporter to fuck off, and the final shot, because it's a callback to a scene that we really didn't talk about, where Mary Beth taught Jace how to dance, which he should just be great at because he's great at everything. Yeah. And if you can wrestle blind, I think you should be able to dance blind.
Absolutely.
But they're all alone in the gym, and they're dancing, and it fades out to black, and we get one of those classic DCOM credit songs that is titled after the name of the movie, and it is the whitest rap you've ever heard this side of the Cheetah Girls.
Oh, no.
And then
the rear end.
It's not, as far as we know, based on a true story. We don't see pictures of... And then Jace actually went on to be an astronaut and fly to the moon.
Zero's the greatest lightweight heavyweight ever.
Zero makes some delicious peaches.
Farm boy John had a farm.
So that was going to the mat. Pretty typical, unlike Full Court Miracle, which I guess was still pretty typical, but a pretty basic sports movie with the wrinkle of him being blind in.
It wasn't a magical DCOM.
No. And it lacked, for the most part, a lot of the stylistic or just plot tropes of a DCOM.
Like, we could have had him talking to himself in his mind, like, throughout this whole movie, but we didn't get that at all.
It probably would have been to his detriment, too. Hey, I'm Jace Hull. I'm from the greatest place on earth, New York City.
Yeah.
It's, again, one of those where it's pretty well made, decent DCOM. It doesn't set my world on fire, but doesn't make me overly angry either.
Yeah.
I might even, like, if I put it on a rating scale, rate it higher than some other DCOMs that I like more, but it's not one I'm not going to say, you've got to go to the mat. Run, don't walk to your nearest gymnasium and go to the mat.
It was a good DCOM. Yeah, it wasn't anything special. It wasn't, like, bad. It wasn't like, oh, that was just dumb. It was a good movie. It was okay.
Now we just need one about professional wrestling.
Yes.
No, I actually, so much about movies about professional wrestling, have to treat it as like it's real, and then that just sucks. Like, let me tell you about Madness.
Russell Madness.
Very disappointing movie about talking dog and monkey. Monkey's the dog's manager and the dog's wrestler, but it treats wrestling as if it's real.
The real deal.
And then John Morrison loses to a dog. And there is definite piss humor, just like Scrappy-Doo in the Scooby-Doo movie.
But we were scrolling through the all of our channels at home, and we came across Zombies 2 on Disney Channel.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a more recent one, I'm sure. It's probably in pretty regular play.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but I
see. That's what I'm saying. I'm excited about that Under Wraps remake that's supposed to come out this year, but I don't know. I don't know how we address that if we just cover it right away. But I feel like the more time is better.
Well, what do you mean cover it right away? I mean, us covering it right away will be like years down the line, anyways.
Well, I'm saying if we broke chronological order. but I don't think we do that.
No.
This is behind the scenes, inside baseball. Yeah. We don't need to talk about because we meticulously plan out so much about this podcast.
No.
Like this outro that I'm going to start off right now and not necessarily know where it's going to take me. But if you want to as I just say, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. If you want to let us know how sexy Andrew Lawrence is.
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10.
On a scale of...
This is post age 18.
Or, hey.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I was going to say no judgment, but I think there are actual judges that maybe judge about that. You can write us at awholenewpod@gmail.com.
Yes.
Rate us, review us, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts.
We're getting up there on YouTube. We're at like
I thought you were going to say we're getting up there on Apple Podcasts. I'm like, I don't think we are. There are actual charts, and I think we are not even anywhere. We are hardly on Apple Podcasts, but rate us, review us on there, Google Play, follow us on Spotify, Stitcher, other places like that. Tell a friend, tell your family, check us out.
What I was going to say is we are getting close to 100,000. We're at like 97,000 views. Yes.
Not subscribers.
No, subscribers. We're hanging out at 168 YouTube. At the moment. Tell your friends, make a couple accounts, subscribe, like every video.
No, we don't need to get flagged for shady behavior. That's usually how anything Jacob touches ends up going down. But
thanks for listening.
The other big story for us is the Jenny Project. I don't know if I just need to keep mentioning it. But the Jenny Project,
downloads.
It is one of the more unique Disney Channel movies out there, but not one I particularly love. But now
it's our most popular DCOM.
It is approaching to be our most popular episode after the first episode, which is the one that makes the most sense to have the most downloads, because people maybe listen to a random one and say, oh, maybe I should start from the beginning. And then they go, oh, no. No, thank you. But yeah, Jenny Project, also weirdly enough, not one like the original Under Wraps that's on Disney Plus right now. So for all the Jenny heads out there,
Jenny heads,
go off
on the main stage.
And
we're going to go off right now.
Yeah. She goes off, she goes off, she goes off. That sounded better in my head.
To the mat we attack and we'll never let up. You better get up and take one for the team or we'll get fed up. It's one for all, the sun will shine for us. We'll run you over like a bus and we'll leave you in the dust to discuss just how hard we can hit. Surround you like a mosh pit, you think this is it? It's a headlock. Pile drive opponents to the mat like it's bedrock. You can't catch me, I move too fast and I proved it. Last time we had a meet, it ended in defeat for your team. Fatigue to the back when we start to attack. You retreat to the back when we step to the mat. You retreat to the back when we start to attack. You retreat to the back, now you're going to the mat. You're going to the mat. It's a matter of fact.
Right after the break, we're going to interview Eric Weihenmayer, who climbed the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. But he's gay. He's blind. So we'll hear about that coming up.
Okay, as we head to the break, a look at the 6 o'clock.